Eric will definitely do a better job in welcoming you later on, but I've got more important business, and we must go on with that. Always good having you. Some time back I was in school. It's been some time back, and I learned about Humty Dumpty. Humpty Dumpty sat upon a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Not all the king's horses, not all the king's men could put Humpty Dumpty back again, or together again. I'm sure you've all heard that before, if you went to the same school that I went to. There are various theories for the origin of Humpty Dumpty. The first is that Humpty Dumpty is referred to King Richard III, who reigned in England between 1483 and 1485. He was known as the hunchbacked monarch. And so history tells us at the Battle of Bosworth Field, he fell from his horse, and his horse's name was called Wall. And Richard was surrounded by enemy troops in the battle and was butchered right there. His body was hacked to pieces. Hence the final part of the rhyme: all the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again. And then there's another theory that says that there was a name of a cannon that was situated on top of a very high tower during the English Civil War of 1642. When the opposing forces blew this tower, this cannon fell to the ground and broke into pieces. And so the king's footmen and cavalry tried to fix this cannon up, and it was never fixed. Hence, not all the king's horses and not all the king's men could put Humpty together again. I looked at this nursery rhyme that I learned some time back, and I saw some very special lessons for us here today. You might wonder, how can you preach from Humpty Dumpty? But Humpty Dumpty speaks to me of many people who are sitting on the wall. They haven't made a decision. They haven't made a commitment. Where do you find them? Sitting on the wall. This is no time for anybody to be sitting on the wall. Because people who sit on the wall supposed to be sitting in a place of privilege, in a place where they can view everybody else, in a place where they think they are higher than everybody else. But the sad fact remains that if you're sitting up there, you're going to fall. And so, Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. Turn would be pleased to the book of Mark chapter 5, and we'll try to put this together this morning and make some sense for you. Mark chapter 5, and we'll read all the way to verse 13, 1 to 13. And they came to the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadarenes. And when he had come out of the boat, immediately a man from the tombs with an unclean spirit met him. And he had his dwelling among the tombs, and no one was able to bind him anymore, even with a chain, because he had often been bound with shackles and chains, and the chains had been torn apart by him, and the shackles broken in pieces, and no one was strong enough to subdue him. And constantly, night and day, among the tombs and in the mountains, he was crying out and gashing himself with stones. And seeing Jesus from a distance, he ran up and bowed down before him. And crying out with a loud voice, he said, "What do I have to do with you, Jesus, Son of the Most High God? I implore you by God, do not torment me." For he had been saying to him, "Come out of the man, you unclean spirit." And he was asking him, "What is your name?" And he said to him, "My name is Legion, for we are many." And he began to entreat him earnestly not to send him out of the country. Now there was a big herd of swine feeding there on the mountain. And the demons entreated him, saying, "Send us into the swine so that we may enter them." And he gave them permission. And coming out, the unclean spirits entered the swine. And the herd rushed down the steep bank into the sea, about 2,000 of them, and they were drowned in the sea. And so, dear brothers and sisters, Humty Dumpty, let's look at his life right now. Because as we look around us, we see so many people during this time very much like Humty Dumpty. The one who sat on the wall in this so-called position of power, good life, prestige, always looking down upon others, living his way, his life, his way, looking down, not looking up, looking down, because that's where Humty Dumpty is. That's where this man is this morning. When we look at the account, the same account of this man, we find in the book of Luke, chapter 8, and we see in verse 27, Luke adds a little bit more for us about this man. Luke tells us that he came from the city. So he was what we will call a city slicker. Someone who knew it all. Someone who was high and mighty. Someone who had it all. Someone who had friends and relatives and people to support him. Yes, it was Humty Dumpty sitting on this wall. Never had a care or concern. Never been committed to anything. But one day, as he sat on this wall, something happened. And I want you to know this morning, wherever you are at right now, Apostle Peter tells us in the first book of Peter, chapter 5 and verse 8, be sober.
Amen.
Be vigilant.
Amen.
Because your adversary, the devil, as a roaring lion, walketh about, seeking whom he may devour. And so you have an enemy. While you sit on that wall, know that you are not in a place of power. You are in a very precarious position. Come down from that wall. Humty Dumpty slipped. How did he fall? He was from the city. He was from a place that gave him so-called power. But the Bible tells us he was bound by demons. Notice what the demons had done to him. In verse 4 we read, he was out of control. No one could subdue him. In fact, when we look at Mark's account, twice we will find the words no one in verse 3 and in verse 4. Absolutely nobody could subdue him. Does it make you think of some people that might be living close to you? Members of your family? No one can subdue them. Nobody can give them counsel. Nobody can tell them what to do because they are uncontrollable. They want to do what they want to do. They want to live their lives their way. Uncontrollable. Sure, you're thinking about some people right now. Keep thinking, because we're talking about Humty Dumpty. Uncontrollable. Sitting on the wall, sitting in a so-called place of prestige and power. Notice that the demons possessed him. These people who live uncontrolled lives are demon-possessed. Because when Jesus comes, the tempter's powers are broken. When Jesus comes, you are subdued. When Jesus comes, you are calm. You don't run here and run there, looking for attention. No. Living undisciplined lives. Entangled with the things of the world. They have their own ideas about life and how they should live their lives. Their own methods. They have their own agendas, and their agendas have no room for Christ. Seems as if nobody can tame such people. Nobody can do anything for them and with them. They are intent on destruction. They want to live on Destruction Road. That's their address. What else we see about Humty Dumpty and people associated with him? You'll see in verse 11, they lived with pigs. They lived with the unholy pigs. You'll notice that you can get used to anything. And so some people, they're so accustomed to living with pigs. They're so accustomed to smelling like pigs, dressing like pigs, walking and talking like pigs, that they don't feel anything anymore. But when you see them, you say, there's a pig coming. And they don't realize it, that they are pigs. The Bible tells us something about pigs. You'll read that in Leviticus 11, verses 7 and 8. God said that they were filthy, they were dirty, and you shouldn't eat it. I thought at least one person will say amen. I forced that out of you. A lot of people's argument is, it's Old Testament. If it's Old Testament, tear the pages and throw it away. God clearly said, don't eat it. I don't care whether you like it or not. If He said, don't eat it, you don't eat it. That settles the matter. Some of you are shocked because you love pigs so much.